What is it? They're watching us. We know they are. Shut up! There's nobody here and it knows it. Just us. Just us. No, we knows it. There's someone watching us. From afar. I can see. I can see. Oh, shut up. Nothing can see us. We'll have the precious. But what if we don't? What if it's just a pair of nail scissors?
Shit. That'd be awful. Why, thank you. I'm not going to tell you how long it took me to get that so good. So yeah, nice to see a couple of friendly faces in the chat. What, any more impressions? No, it's mostly just Gollum, unfortunately. I have to resist the urge to like spray paint my body grey and go in a loincloth to Halloween every year. It's depressing. I mean, actually, technically speaking, I can also do like I can do sort of a very vague impersonation of like Arcturus Mensk or something like that, which is not something that comes up that often. It's not something you have to do like particularly frequently. But you just need to make sure that you're getting the bass right. Oh no, that's Tychus, isn't it? Which actually works well with my voice at the moment, because I'm all bass right now. I'm totally addicted to bass. Come on, Jimmy, don't give me that. I didn't blow holes in every ship in every sector of this space for you to tell me that we're not going to do it. Something like that, anyway. So, oh yeah. To be fair, like, I don't know if people are musicians in any way, but like I'm a second bass, which, like, just a quick explanation. You've got like first sopranos, second sopranos, first alto, second alto, first tenor, second tenor, first bass, second bass. Which means if you get to second bass, wait, no, that's something different, isn't it? That's something else entirely. Never mind. We'll gloss over that one. But yeah, second basses are the really low guys, and I've been a second bass for like years and years and years and years. Something I'm delighted to report. Dude, if there was a third bass in singing, you wouldn't be able to hear it. In fact, there's a dude who is famous from here on to sing the lowest note a human being's ever been able to reach, and most people can't even hear it. It's that low. It's ridiculous. So yeah, by the way, you may have noticed that part of the stream is you guys. Now, I don't have to tell you to be nice, do I? To be fair, a certain amount of trolling is fine, but don't stick horrifying things up there. And of course, you won't be able to post links because I've set the Twitch thing to not allow that, but that's fine. So, at the moment, I've got a certain amount of time, I don't know exactly how long, before someone tells me to shut the fuck up. At which point I have to be very quiet. And I may have to plug my phone in and turn off flight mode, because at that point I can't be texted. What do people want to do? Oh yeah, Zell won the tournament. Zell won it 2-0 over Aggressive. Aggressive did fairly well. The problem is he didn't capitalize on a couple of advantages that he had, and while like there were some really impressive drops. In fact, do you want me to just go through those games? I can just go through those games in slightly more in-depth replay, because we've got time. I don't have anything else to do. ZVZ is hard, man. There's no shame in having bad ZVZ. That's like saying my punching myself in the face is atrocious. It's just not a fun thing for the most part. But yeah, no, I'll tell you what, we'll go through that. We'll go through the replays of the last couple of games, and see if I can work on my replay analysis anyway. I'm not going to pretend to be Artosis, so if you do see stuff that's blatantly stupid, like I'm just getting it flat wrong, then by all means do tell me. Because I want to get this stuff right. I don't want to be shit. Don't be Axel Toss. No one. Hey, I'm already no Axel Toss. I have a band of loyal followers, and hopefully you guys will be part of that soon. That's when the mind conditioning where it clicks in. That'll be fine. But yeah, like, I want to get better at analysis because I want to be the more complete caster. And it turns out if you can do analysis as well, you become a lot more useful to anyone who has like stuff they want cast. By the way, just as a standing thing, if people want me to cast Clan Wars at any point, let me know at least, like, preferably a week in advance. If I don't know a week in advance, then I can't tell the Scvrush guys that I'm busy, basically. Yeah, Jocelyn's pretty good, actually. So, thanks, dude. That's really nice. This is the thing. This is like this is why I'm doing as much casting as I am, because I'm taking to it like a duck to water. Like, all I really need to get is my game knowledge up, and I'll be sorted. Because I've got hang on a sec. Someone in the game's asking who won. Yeah, I mean, I want to do more casting, and I want to like get Clan Wars under my belt and get more, you know, tournament experience. Water to a duck. Duck to water. Oh wow, that's a lovely phrase. I may have to save that one. Also, now I want to write his name on a goose, because that'd make it a duck goose. Do you get it? See what I did there? Anyway, but yeah, I want to get more experience done in terms of like in terms of like just getting more like casting experience and be able to do things like keep an eye on what's going on the screen, but also be able to see what you guys are doing about here, like that, and sort of have the the multi-situational awareness thing, which is really, really handy. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to load up the first of the two final replays that we had between Zell and Aggressive, and then I'm going to fire straight in. Boom! I'm actually just going to pimp out my stream. It's amazing how your fingers get used to typing the weirdest things. Okay, so we're just gonna get that up, and you can probably already hear it in the background. So I'll pause that and go back to the beginning of the replay, because you can do that now, and it's easy. I'm trying to think if it's worth actually getting the replay thing in game. Probably not. In any case, sorry, not the replay thing. Pneumo ultra microscopic silicovolcaniconiosis. Yeah, like it's basically that would be the medical condition of having inhaled volcanic ash, if memory serves. I think that's inhaling volcanic ash, because you're getting tiny bits of silicon in your pneumo. Basically breathing in burning rock, which is a horrifying way to die. So, and you also need to remember how you do the full name of Slanvard PG, but I'll worry about that later. So, boom! Let's get into the game. So, not going to bother with Starboard for this bit because I don't have a proper overlay at the moment. I got one technically, but it's not great, and no, I'll just do it as is. So, I'm actually going to be requesting some art from Garrett Weinzel, which should be entertaining. So, right in the bottom right here, we have our Disco Zell. So called because you know what? The spirit of disco will never die. Yeah! So, we've got ourselves with this Zerg in the bottom right, and we have ourselves a Protoss in the top left. And if memory serves, this game hinged around a couple of bits. First things first, we have ourselves... hang on a sec. We'll speed our way slightly through this because I don't remember an awful lot happening to begin with. Okay, so we have ourselves a relatively early scout from the Zerg. Sorry, from the Zerg, from Protoss. He's sending it out on the 9 because it turns out he wants to know what his opponent is doing. Because you know what, at this stage in the game, knowing whether your opponent's going hatch or pull first can actually make a difference. He's, I believe, going to go gateway expand. I believe that's what he did. Yeah, there we go. He's gone gateway expand, and his opponent doesn't know he's gone gateway yet. Which is why we've got the drone going up here. This is basically a, can I afford to expand before pool, or do I need to put the pool down first to defend myself? Yeah, speedlings are nasty. Yeah, people drone scout, and the reason you drone scout is because, having got to this point, he can now say, that's not a forge. That's not a forge, so I can afford to go hatch before pool, because my opponent can't actually do anything about it, because he's got a forge, he's got a gateway. If he'd had a forge, that could have been set up for cannon rush territory, and that's just bad times for everyone concerned. So we've got chasing away this worker, the worker being slightly mismicroed there, so taking an extra couple of hits that he didn't really need to, taking some serious body damage, and then deciding to die. He was going to go for the pylon block, but owing to slightly bad positioning, he didn't manage to get it. At this point, Zerg, however, is leaving this drone up here, and is going to know exactly if and when his opponent expands, which if it hasn't happened by, I believe my co-caster said, like the 5 or 6 minute mark, you know you're in serious trouble. You know there's something bad coming your way, something wicked this way comes. But we do have, as I said, we've got the hatch before pool, we've got the gas before pool. Sorry, what am I saying now? We've got the pool up. Ugh. I missed that going up altogether, didn't I? There we go. Things to remember. Watch for the pool timings. Yeah, we've got we've got like a gas coming up. We've got he's not going for really fast speed. He's going for not using this at all. Is this the same game? Yeah, it is the same game. So this worker, however, here, I remember this game. Yeah. Okay, so this worker here is going to be building something up in the top right hand corner. Bonus points to anyone who can guess what that is before it goes down. Yes, we've got Trollman kept saying the efficiency of the build depends on how fast the Nexus goes down. It also depends on whether they build a Zealot, if memory serves. Because if they don't build a Zealot, then they can get the Nexus down faster, but they don't have a Zealot. So yeah, anyone want to guess what this is going to be? Trollman keeps having seen this before, I think. Actually, the fun thing about this for me, like the really silly thing here, I don't know if I can zoom in. I don't remember how to zoom in. Yeah, I don't think that worker can actually escape. I think it's stuck there. So yeah, we've got ourselves a proxy Stargate. And for those of you who haven't seen the game yet, who I believe was... Who was it hadn't seen the game yet? Who won the tournament? Hung Mao. What do you reckon? What do you reckon is going to come out of this Stargate, Hung Mao? Nobody else say anything for now, please. Just Hung Mao. What do you reckon is going to come out of the Stargate? What would be a sensible thing to build out of a Stargate? Please note that's not a clue that a non-sensible thing comes out. It's just, Hung Mao, what do you reckon? I should just check that Hung Mao's in factually in the chat. Oh, is he gone? Shame. Shame. Oh well. In that case, anyone else who doesn't know what happens already, would they care to guess what happens out of this Stargate? Oh, you know, right? I was going to make him stuff. I'm not killing his family. What? What? In any case. Melvin giving the best suggestion of the day. Carriers would be amazing if you rushed straight for Fleet Beacon. Yeah, carriers can, like, if you bring out a shock carrier, then you kill your opponent because they're sitting there going, but what the? Especially because you can't hallucinate massive units, can you? You can only hallucinate like up to massive, can't you? In any case, it's an Oracle. Not traditionally done against. I shall track down Hung Mao and kill his family with Protoss units. Oh, but chances are he'll just live in a... No, we'll tell you what. I believe he gets sentries at some point in the none too distant future. So what we'll do is we'll wait till he gets these gateways up, pulls out a couple of sentries, and we'll have a look for ourselves. But for the moment, the big thing that's happened here is that Zell's actually seen the Oracle before it's gotten to his main, and therefore has had the time and the foresight to throw down Spore Crawlers. And okay, that Spore Crawler is not going to be done by the time the Oracle arrives, but the Oracle's not going to be able to kill it, and at that point it's then a shield. The thing is, Oracles versus 2 Queens doesn't tend to go very well, and he's burning down one of the Queens a little, pushing it a little, but he can't really do an awful lot. And this, I think, was one of the first mistakes that Protoss made. He actually went with Oracles versus Zerg, and had he gotten away with it and not been seen doing it, it would have done a ton more damage, because he could have gotten in there and been like, drone, 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 and only one Queen would have been there to stop him. Like, if he'd had that, if he'd had the elephant of surprise, then it would have gone very differently, and he could have, you know. Hang on a second, let's move this camera. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I mean, there was no reason for the Zerg to scout up that side anyway. And if he'd put it, say, here, or hell, I mean, he could have got away with it just about here. Okay, he couldn't know this. Yeah, he could have gone to the natural to do it. He could have done all sorts of things. He's actually putting down a pylon here, but I think this is the point at which Protoss put himself behind, because at this point he went in with a really expensive unit, trying to do a boatload of damage with it, and has gotten no kills whatsoever. And the only things he's actually damaged are queens, which generally can just heal themselves fairly effectively anyway. So, sorry, just seeing that. He's got that. There's no kills on the Oracle. So he's not actually in a great place to start with. So let's keep going. And again, we got like... I keep looking at this ramp weirdly here, because I did see a Protoss build stuff across this ramp first in a game the other day, and in the bronze and silver yesterday, on Monday rather. We see a couple of zealots coming down, because this is actually the closest warping pylon that Protoss has to his opponent. Again, I think that's a mistake. I think if he'd had a pylon, like, say, down here, or in this little nook here, I mean, okay, it might have been visible, so it might have died. Or, you know, just by this watchtower, you know, somewhere slightly further forward than this. He's actually getting a Void Ray to supplement the 2 oracles and the 4 things he has. At this point, however, he's actually in a good position, because this stuff shreds Lings, like, completely shreds them. So the Lings are going to run. And he's going to try and go into the natural with this force. There's a bunch of queens there, and the drones are evacuated straight away. That oracle there is so close to death, but gets the queen before it goes down. Now, at this point, well, that spore crawler was there. And at this point, the oracle's running low on energy. There are 2 queens there to shoot at it. He's possibly going to get... It looked like he was going to get that natural, but at this point, there's enough Lings to stop the zealots. The oracle's gone down. At this point, he's got... hang on a sec, that's my Twitter alarm. Yeah, he's got a Void Ray in a good place, but again, it's not good on its own, and there's at least a couple of queens that can do something about it. You know, I mean, the queens are going to have to get up there pretty sharpish, and he's not going to stop. He's not going to stop Blue Reconstitution, because that's just finished. But the 2 queens are going to wander up, and they don't take much extra damage. I mean, the extra damage is gone anyway. So yeah, he's basically trying to burn this down before the queens kill him, and it doesn't look like he has time. I mean, he's got just about enough to get away. Yeah, no, I need to actually just tweet something very quickly. Ooh. Okay, that's May's earlier. So I'm just going to tweet post-match analysis. Okay, hang on, so I'm just going to pause this while I do this. At twitch.tv// Oh, how awful. It's a ball ache to type into your phone. And I will tweet that at the Scvrush. Cone watch? What the hell is a cone watch? Actually, a cone watch is where you look out for cones. So, we have ourselves like a situation here for the Protoss where he's definitely behind. I mean, he knows he's behind because he hasn't done enough damage with the stuff that he's had. He tried to take out this Roach Warren and it didn't die. He's got the Void Ray back up to shield, so he might be able to try and take it on again, but it's risky and it's probably not worth it at this point because he's got bigger problems. Zerg, on the other hand, knows he's ahead, which is why he's making this many drones. I mean, there's like 7 of them in production. The only thing that I think is missing from Zerg's play at this point is an extra base, because he's got 815 minerals to spare. He's not like he's short. But again, you know, it's good stuff. He's got the composition that he needs in terms of units, because he's got, I don't know, roaches and queens. He's got a couple of lings mixed in there as well, but you know, it's all good. At this point, the Stargate's not doing an awful lot, because it turns out there's a Void Ray come out of it. But yeah, anyway, let's keep going. Actually, one thing I will pause the game again just to show is the one problem that Protoss doesn't know they have yet. This is the rally point for the Stargate. This is the rally point for the Stargate right here, and this is inside the Zerg main, which is not where you want to be. Okay, so he's probably going to get that. Yep. Yep, he gets the Roach Warren, and there's not a lot that could really be done about that. And now all he can really do at this point is try and push in the front. The problem is the Roaches are there, and there's Evolution Chamber coming down, so the Zerg's going to be able to get an upgrade advantage over him. Muscular Organs coming out means he's definitely going Hydras, because you never waste that much gas and minerals on nothing at all. And he's also stacked up the Grooved Spines thing underneath, which I don't really like. I think that's probably worth like being slightly more careful about. Oh, down goes the Overlord. No. And is he going to get away? Barely, but yes, he gets away. A few shots being fired, but the thing is that Void Ray is now dangerously low, so he's going to be a bit careful with that if he wants to use it again. Pneumatized Carapace coming up for Overlords because you can. And at this point, yeah, the Colossus Bay is nearly finished up for this Protoss player. It's a good thing. I don't think he wanted to push in quite here because his opponent has enough stuff to just chase him away. And he might actually lose he could easily lose the Void Ray like that. And at that point, he's lost a Sentry and a Void Ray. And I don't think any of these units actually have any kills. Which means he's going to have to run away. He's going to have to run so far. Invincible Smurf saying he should have put his queens closer to the edge. Yes! Oh! Stop! Remember that rally point I told you about a minute ago? That was in the Protoss main? Sorry, in the Zerg main, right? This is why it was a problem. Because this Void Ray is not being watched by the guy who is controlling it. So what happens is this Void Ray comes in here while that battle's happening over there. You remember that battle? That's the Protoss being pushed right the way back. And he starts chasing off these things. And at this point the Zerg's like, you know what? I've got queens that can shoot you dead. And because Protoss's attention at the moment is here, he's aware that he's got stuff to do, and he's aware of the fact that something's under attack, but his attention's so divided that he doesn't have the attention span to be able to deal with the fact that he's just wasted a Void Ray, which is basically 250 minerals, 150 gas down the tubes, which might have made a difference had he kept it alive and had it up here instead. But hey, again, it's the things you learn, and these are the things to be careful of, because if it wasn't for the fact that rally point was there, and in fact I think he's now moved it, he's moved the rally point to here, but that was a costly loss for virtually nothing. I mean, he very nearly killed an Overlord, but that's about it. And at this point Protoss is in a lot of trouble, because he's behind economically, he's behind in army supply because he's just lost a lot of it, and at this point Zerg has no reason not to just go up there and take out the Stargate, which again limits Protoss's tech. So it was a good move by Zerg. This being because Zerg has total map control. I mean, Protoss has map vision of there, but Zerg's got an army up here and basically is keeping an eye on Protoss's third. Knows that he hasn't expanded yet. Oh, hey Hung Mao, was trying to involve you earlier. Was going to ask you a question about the game, but you weren't here. Ugh. Just to clarify things really quickly, we'll run through things very quickly. Protoss made himself that Stargate and put it here, made oracles out of it, which turned out to be a bad mistake because they came down here and the queens went... Zerg scouted, completely accidentally, scouted up here with an Overlord to go and check out the third. True, we don't have to kill his family now. Don't worry, Hung Mao, that doesn't mean anything at all, and we won't kill your family. Me? Okay, I'll tone it down a bit. So, Protoss made an oracle spewing out thing up here, then Stargate, spewed out a couple of oracles, which went down here and did absolutely nothing. One of them got taken out for nothing. One of them got taken out... in fact, yeah, it came down here and got killed by this Spore Crawler, I think. Oh no, it was this Spore Crawler down here. This Spore Crawler's kill is, in fact, the oracle that basically came in here, tried to be dangerous, and then moved out here and got shot. The other one also died because of stuff. Basically, the Protoss having enough queens. Then he put down a proxy pylon and tried to push in with Void Ray, Oracle, Sentry, Zealot, and basically got repulsed, which resulted in this Zerg force here pushing its way right the way up this side of the map, butchering the Stargate and the worker that was next to it, and coming over here to try and cause them pain. Now, at this point, all is not lost with this push. Protoss has the problem that he doesn't have Thermal Lance yet, because that's still in the make. And he also has the disadvantage that his opponent is 20 seconds away from getting +1 weapons, range weapons, which affects, oh, I don't know, pretty much everything here. But are there any lings in the pack? Yeah, there's 3 lings that won't benefit from that. And also Zerg, because he can, is expanding to a 3rd base. Now, it's entirely possible for Protoss to win this, however it's going to require some careful dodging and ducking and diving, and it's going to involve keeping this thing safe while it has range 6, which is somewhat of a... so yeah, we'll see what happens. At this point, kiting, turns out you can kite zealots. Having sentries would have helped at this point. Yes, it really would have done. I mean, because they're what, 150 gas? Sorry, 100 gas, 50 minerals. Yeah, he could have got a bunch of sentries at this point, but he doesn't have the supply anymore. And while he's able to push things, and I think at this point, yep, he GG's out. But again, it was sort of, there weren't a massive bunch of mistakes that characterized why Zerg was able to take this one. There were a few things that sort of snowballed out of control. If we go right the way back to the beginning, like all the way back to here where, well, no, wait for the Stargate, there we go. Now, if Zerg hadn't sent this Overlord precisely where it went, like, let's speed this up a bit. Zerg sent this Overlord out. If Zerg hadn't sent this exactly where it was, why is this text still here? There we go. If he hadn't sent it precisely this path, or if the Protoss had put the proxy Stargate, instead of being in vision, oh, there we go. It's there now. At this point, Zerg knows that there's not only a proxy, because you see that sort of thing on the mini-map, you're going to check it out. So he now knows there's an Oracle incoming. If, however, the proxy had been here instead, maybe, or here, it would have been a lot more effective, because that one Oracle would have been able to get down here while there was only a single queen, butcher half a dozen workers, and buzz out. And at that point, you're looking at an opponent who is not as high up in workers, has to pull their queens because they can't afford to do anything else. And at that point, if you want to, butcher a few workers here, the queens start coming up, just pop down into the natural and start killing this lot as well, because the queens have to respond. They have to go to one or the other. They have to bunch up to be guaranteed a kill. And okay, I think one queen can take on an Oracle in, mano a mano, so to speak, but it's risky and you need to be quick, basically. So had he gotten the Oracle in first, that would probably... Or is it 1v1 with the Queen Oracles win? I thought it might be, but I wasn't certain. Isn't the standard proxy at the 4th instead of so far back? So 1, 2, 3, yeah, so that'd be here. Yes, as far as I'm aware, the standard thing is to put the proxy actually here. So it probably would have seen it anyway. But, he had to... Well, that's the thing. The reason the guy had 2 queens is because he was able to bring this one up from the natural, I think. Either one of these 2 comes up from the natural in the next few seconds. There aren't actually 2 queens in the main. That's currently turning into a lair. So if memory serves, one of these queens comes up. Yeah, there we go. He brings this queen up. Yeah, if he'd had it at the 4th, he could have killed the first queen. If it hadn't been spotted, he could have killed the first queen. But because this second queen was able to get up here just in the nick of time, it was able to shoo it away, and it wasn't able to do any damage at all. And then by that point, he had a Spore Crawler up, so the Oracle became much less useful. And that right there was sort of not the beginning of the end, but that was definitely a disadvantage for Protoss, because he invested a lot in that tech, which is why I think he was going for following it up with more Stargate tech, more Stargate units later on. The problem is, at this point, Protoss knows he's not going to have much else. Zerg knows that Protoss isn't going to have much else, because he spent all his gas on a Stargate. Yeah, the Oracle could have scouted a lot better than it did. I mean, if we look at what he's got, we know he's got a pool. That's it. Oh, he's seen the Roach Warren, so he did actually get a scout off. But he hasn't seen the natural, he hasn't seen the gases, which would have been really important. And actually, theoretically speaking, you could have used it as a scout to check out when the 3rd went down, if the 3rd went down at all. So yeah. I mean, there's nothing massive as far as I can tell, like, from this level of play. If this were, like, pro players, this would be unforgivable, but it's not. This is, like, gold level play. And actually, at this point, Protoss got a massive boost, because you know what shreds Zerglings? All of this lot. I mean, if he'd managed that slightly faster... Yeah, Envision. Envision's horrible, like genuinely horrible when you have the energy to do it. The problem is he didn't want to do this with it, because at this point he pulled it in, he used it, and this queen dies, and then the Oracle gets mismicroed into this Spore Crawler and just gets one shot. So again, it's little things. It's little things to remember. It's things like if you're going to use a Stargate, put it slightly closer than your edge of the map, or if you're going to send the Oracle from this far away, do it from your own main. You know, like there's. Which one is it? This one. Yeah, if you're going to send out an Oracle, you don't need to proxy them anymore. That's why they gave them the speed buff. So if you're gonna, this is why I was like, I miscalled this when I first saw it, because I thought there's no way he's going to proxy an Oracle. He doesn't need to. It can be fast enough, and also, it can get in. You know, the Oracle. It can actually, there would have been potentially been a thing there, but you know, the Oracle could get in a lot faster, like, or just as fast rather, into the main on the NAT from where it was. You know, if you put the Stargate like here instead, and well, that's the thing. Like, as far as I can tell, when it comes to Oracles, the element of surprise is just as good if it comes from your main, because you're only saving like 5 seconds here, and the fact that he got spotted meant that it kind of didn't work. Is this fan actually doing anything? Yes, it is. So that's the thing. If he'd done it from his main, would it not have been like slightly more effective because it wouldn't have been spotted anyway? Ah, okay. Because at this point, as far as I'm aware, Zerg hasn't actually scouted Protoss main at this point. Oh wait, yeah, no, he scouted a bunch actually. Yeah, that's fair. Guys, can't take you anywhere. Right. But yeah, that's basically what happened in that game, as far as I can tell. It was not. There weren't any massive like glaring errors. There were a couple of little things, and it was that unlucky spot of this thing at the start. You know, it was one of those things that if he just managed to hide it slightly better, then it would probably have gone very differently. Or if I mean, as far as I could tell, this Overlord, from what my co-caster was saying, this Overlord usually ends up going over here, to basically scout out the third. Because I think he said the ramp anyway. So it's interesting to note that like it was sent directly up in. I mean, even if it had just gone like, if it had been aimed for behind the gas, but then I suppose it would be hiding on top of this thing, so it would have ended up going up that way anyway. So again, lesson learned: don't put if you're going to do a proxy, don't put it on a yeah. If you put it somewhere out of the sort of the scouting path of the Overlord, you can sort of draw an invisible line, like straight up this way. And if you could assume that the Overlord's going to sit there, actually, it would have been just as valid, I think, to put this Stargate most of the places on the map. It was just really unlucky to get spotted there. In any case, I think that's enough harping on about Game 1. Let's have a look at Game 2. I've just realised I didn't actually show you that last bit, but never mind. We'll So, let's see. And the last map was on Newkirk Precinct, so we can get ourselves some hot replay action on that one. Now, this game again was there were similarities between this game and the previous one. And I'm going to pause. I'm going to shift Z to start with, because you know what, I love doing that. It's so good. At this point, you know, we were sort of expecting something a bit cheesy out of aggressive, because it's that moment when the mind games tell you need to do something desperate, which, you know, is fair. So let's get in the bottom right on Newkirk Precinct, I believe this is aggressive, playing from behind, so needing that win, against Zell in the bottom right, on the bottom left, playing for Team Disco. Now, again, it's a sort of like this map, I believe, was Aggressive's choice, because Aggressive was the loser of the last match, and both players being incredibly mana and all lovely and shiny and made of cats. Now, at this point, we're not seeing like any deliberately obvious shenaniganry. There is actually, look, I'm just going to forewarn you, there is some shenaniganry in this game. But it's not what you think unless you've seen it already. Okay? In fact, Hung Mao, nobody else say anything for the moment. Hung Mao, shenanigans are about to happen. What's about to happen? Just say something, call something, guess what's going to happen, and nobody tell him, if he doesn't know already. Have a guess. What do you reckon, based on this setup here? We've got Zerg, with this many workers, and 154 minerals. We've got the Overlord scouting path that goes all the way over here. We've got a Protoss with this many workers. And we've got a pylon here. Oh, balls. Sorry. Okay. Zerg base looks like this, with a total of, I don't know, 13 workers and 2 Overlords. The Overlord scouting path goes down and to the right and lands it here. Right here. The Protoss, on the other hand, has 12 workers. Not all of whom are here, because one of them's all the way up here, chasing this Zerg drone up here. I was wondering about this. I was wondering whether this is some kind of mind game about third base, because at this point, we do the Protoss did actually see that drone go up there, which is why he's chasing it. So, Hung Mao, do you say proxy hatch? Well, that's your call. Don't want to tell you too much. But yeah, Protoss didn't see the drone come back out again, so as far as I can tell, he's assuming there's a hatch up here, just to avoid the irritation of having to deal with, hatch blocking. And at this point, the Zerg drone wanders over into this base, past the forge, which is a good thing to spot, actually, if I'm quite honest. We've got a pool going down. And yeah, Zerg's going to scout up into the main, and is not going to see a second pylon yet, but then I don't think you'd expect to yet. Good call, Hung Mao. So, at this point, I was freaking out, because I was actually freaking out, like properly in the cast, because oh my god, it's a proxy hatch! Oh my god, it's a proxy hatch! The problem is, it gets spotted immediately. So, why would you carry on with this? Proxy spines are incredible if you can pull them off. The thing is, Protoss has definitely seen it now. There's no way he hasn't seen it. And okay, Zell doesn't know. So, maybe that's going to affect his choice. But this might be an unknowing coup for Zerg. In fact, this is an unknowing coup for Zerg because he doesn't actually know what his opponent's doing. And his opponent only having a forge, at this point, might have put that a bit close, actually. Hang on. Yeah. At this point, Zell can see these buildings. He can see a couple of cannons going up next to his proxy hatch. But, please to note, these cannons have 25 seconds left on the build timer. 25 seconds left and they're done. This thing has 40 seconds left on the build timer. And now, Hung Mao calls it his cannon's finished and he cancels the hatch? Let's find out, I guess. We've got another gateway, just as a sort of a side note. We've got a gateway going down with a cannon behind it, so this is actually a semi-decent wall at this point. But, at this point, I was staring at this and freaking the fuck out. That's alright. No worries, Trollman Kips, it's all good. Yeah, once he starts shooting at it, once he starts taking the damage, cancelled, and he lost 50 minerals, but his opponent spent 200 making that happen. So at that point, you know you're ahead because you forced your opponent to make 200 minerals worth of useless buildings. There is a proxy hatch. Sorry, not proxy hatch. There is a pylon block going over in the zone. Is it 300? Oh yeah, it's 300 for 150 per cannon. So we've got ourselves a pylon block that gets knocked down, and the Zerg does have a natural sort of thing. And I'm going to call it the third, even though it's technically the natural. Alright. But yeah, but at this point Zerg hasn't lost nearly as much as his opponent. He's lost less than half, I think. So, we've got ourselves a natural and a third going down for the Zerg player. Because you know what, he can. He knows his opponent doesn't have much in the way of forces. He knows he's just wasted a whole bunch of minerals on cannons that aren't going to do anything at all. Which could be 2 zealots that would otherwise have been warped in, but turns out no. The Toss is scared as hell. That's why he's walling himself in quite so forcefully. He's got 2 cannons at the front here. But again, like, just the 2 cannons. If he put down the Nexus earlier instead of putting this gateway down, then he would still have just been as safe, because the cannons would have butchered anything trying to get through. And if one Zergling managed to get through even then, his drones could have killed it. Or that Zealot that's standing there would have held them off forever. Yep. And as Trollmudkips is telling us in the chat, at this point, the fact that he cancelled his Nexus didn't help him. That's a waste of minerals there that he can't really afford to waste at this point. We've got ourselves, the thing is, at this point, as the casters, we're having that sort of feeling of, ooh, this is done now. Because at this point, Zerg has 3 hatches up, uncontested, and actually up. You know, he can start droning the hell out of this place. And as I believe I said to my co-caster at the time, all roads point to the natural, because all of these drones that are being produced, and he's producing drones, 6 at a time, Zergling speed coming up, he can just economy the hell out of this. Now, Protoss is getting upgrades, which means that the Zealots will be able to 2-shot the Lings, but he doesn't have the Zealots to do it at the moment. And the fact that he's behind economically and not able to do anything about it is not helping. Also, I actually miscalled this. This Overlord here gets spotted, unsurprisingly. Please note, while this is all happening, the Zerg is still making a boatload of drones. And 2 sentries are dispatched, because at this point, as the Zerg player, you know you're in good, because this means that your opponent doesn't have a single Stalker. Like, he doesn't even have 1, because why would you send 2 sentries after an Overlord? And okay, they do get to kill it, but why would you send them after that when you could send a single Stalker and hide the fact that you've got sentries, because sentries are brutally dangerous. Also, at this point, we've got Lair starting and Roach Warren coming down, because it turns out no Stalkers. Okay, he's supply block to hell, but still. They aren't too good, but they do bonus damage versus Roaches, if memory serves. Can't remember now. He is in fact going Zealot Sentry, and in fact I think he's throwing down the Robo specifically to get Immortals out. But this is the thing, like, he's got Immortals out. The problem he's going to face is the fact that Zerg has this Ling here, and will therefore see any pushes that happen. Like, there's no way he's going to miss them. And also getting Warp Prisms in is going to be tricky, because there's the... Oh! There you go, there's the push out. Oh, apparently there's a timing. Aha! Yeah! This is something that my co-caster Maze also mentioned. Hungma's asking, why did Toss push out this early? I think this may have been a desperation push. I think this may have been I have to do something, otherwise I'm going to get crushed. Naniwa timing? Ha! The problem that he's got is that in terms of army supply, he's about even, but his opponent's about to get 18 more, about to get 9 more supply in Zerglings, and he doesn't have that much stuff. He's got enough to kill his Overlord, sure, but when it comes down to it, he could very easily get surrounded, and at that point he could lose the sentries, and he's going to need some good force fields to make this work. He does push up from an interesting angle for me, actually, because he pushes in from up here. You can see his forces heading up. He can see the creep. The creep can see him. Actually, to be fair, the creep can't see him, because the creep doesn't have vision on the high ground yet. But he doesn't have the Warp Prism. Ideally, he'd at least want 2 more Immortals. Distressingly enough, that was a really fast pull, and that's fine. But at this point, Zerg is completely sacking the 3rd. Like, just completely sacking the 3rd. While he's doing this, he is getting +1 upgrades for weapons and armour. And he is building up an army. And then the Broodlings get to do their little jumpy around thing. And there's the Warp Prism coming in separately, which again, it's doable, but you have to actually do something with it. And the problem is he's wasting all his effort on a gas geyser at this point. And oh, if you get the chance, like, preferably knowing you're not watching me, go and watch the latest Carbot. Seriously, it's amazing. So, yeah, actually Hungmao raises a good point. After taking the hatch, he should have left. He should have gone home, preserved his forces, not risked them in open combat. Because at this point he can very easily be outnumbered, but he can go home and reinforce, and then it'll be a little safer. The Warp Prism's sitting there doing very little at this point, and the fact that the roaches are coming in, there's lings happening here. The Overlord, the Immortal, I think, is already dead. Yep, the Immortal's died. That army basically just melted. And okay, he's got 3 Zealots in the main. The problem is they're not Speed Zealots, they're just Zealots, and he hasn't therefore killed any workers at all. And that was the only thing I think that they could have done to make that better, would be to have those Zealots actually do something. But, you know, at this point he's massively behind. And okay, again, it's not like there was like this was a stupid game or anything, because he did take the 3rd. You know, he did manage to successfully pull the 3rd. But then again, like, Zerg has the bank to just make another one. So, yeah, and of course this is a 3rd that Protoss literally knows nothing about. Like, he has no idea there's anything here. He knows there's a natural, because why would you make a 3rd of, like, not the natural, but yeah, he doesn't have vision. That's one of his main problems, actually, is he doesn't have any vision of the map. His vision of the map is his main and his nat, and he's got the capacity to make observers, but he's making Colossi instead, which, you know. Which one? Which hatch do you think is off? This one? 4th or 3rd? This one. Might be, actually. 4th. So the one up here. It might be. It's not off by enough to seriously hamper him, I think, but it might be. Okay, no, I think if it was going to be off, it was going to be off, like, this way instead. Yeah, because I think you can't get close enough to the gas geysers to make it high or low in these ones. I've had that problem trying to place buildings all the time. What, are you saying this one? Yeah, this is the problem. This is, again, like, this is one of the problems that we have with casting this sort of thing, is that while there is an expected 3rd, it's not always the one the players take. And then you're like, do I call it the 3rd or not? Because it can be really confusing for people who don't know how to play this, where you refer to you know, in the beginning you refer to the main and the natural, and I believe the 3rd is up here, isn't it? So you refer to the 3rd, but then the dude builds his 3rd down here, so this becomes the 3rd and that becomes the 4th, and oh my, I've gone cross-eyed. But yeah, no, it does look a little bit too far away from that gas. But hey, you live and learn. So, at this point, I mean, you can see the pattern here. He's done it once before, and it did kill the 3rd. So or the 4th as it should actually be called. I'm going to call it the 3rd because that's when the Zerg put it down. And he's going to go in and try and do the same thing again. And actually, you know what? It's going to work. Because why wouldn't it? And he is actually also dropping in the main. The problem with the drop in the main, in fact, we just pop back. He drops into the main with a bunch of forces. We'll just pop back briefly here. He's got like a bunch of zealots warping in the main, and they're attacking the spine crawler. They're getting shot by the queen, so they're not actually being that cost effective, really. And while he's doing that, oh yeah, nice transfuse on the spine, by the way. While he's doing that, pew pew pew, the Zerg Armada comes in, and he's sacking his 3rd, what was his 3rd again, because you know what, he doesn't care anymore. It's here now. It's, you know, and if Protoss does that thing again where he overcommits, then he can just crush him. Again, like, the food counts don't always tell you the full story. Oh, god damn it. I swear I did. See, this right here is why I want the green screen, because then I can have both me and the thing on the screen at the same time. So yeah, so basically what happened there was the warping of zealots, that spine crawl was being rebuilt afterwards. And now there's been a couple of hydras left here, just in case this thing decides to come back. But at the moment, he doesn't really need to worry about it too much. I mean, he's got... The only advantage that Protoss has at this point is the fact that he has 2 Colossi. And they do have range 9, so they are brutally effective. And there is a good meat shield load in front of them. And in fact, as we see here, Protoss is doing not terribly out of this engagement. He needs more stuff. He needs more dudes. The fact that he's got another Colossus coming out is good. And at this point, Zerg goes on a bit of a yakety sax. Like, he's going all the way up here, for reasons which I cannot fathom. All of his units are going up there. and then he's walking all the way back down here. And yeah, having the Protoss has the Protoss does have force fields. He's got one, two, it's 50 energy force field, isn't it? Yeah, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's got 4 at fulls. That's 20. No, he's got 16 there, 17, 18 force fields available to him, and the Zerg Armada just goes home. For like he had like there was zealots warping in, but it didn't merit that much of a response. Yeah, we've got a warp prism sitting up here being irritating now, and it's okay. If he'd been able to do slightly more with that. Actually, also interesting note for the Zerg player is he left some workers here doing absolutely nothing. You know, like... Actually, no, he could have butchered the Zerg force if... Oh yeah, and this is why my worker pings the workers. My colleague pings the workers, like, the hell? Yeah, no, he can butcher that force, but it's going to require some force field usage, and he does have them, but again, it's that micro thing. Because again, like looking at this, it's squishy as hell. I mean, look at this. All of these things, 80 hit points, and each one gets nearly gets 38 damage. In fact, I think they 2-shot them, don't they? No, they 3-shot them. But again, he's got 3 Colossus, so that's like every time that sweeps, any Hydralisks that are in the way just die. The thing that Zerg has at the moment, however, is Vipers. And okay, you know what, you've seen this happen twice before. You know what's about to happen here. This base is about to die horribly. The problem that he's got is that he's given these things enough time to get up. And now, this is where we see the engagement. And on paper, Protoss wins. The problem he has is Blinding Cloud's gone down, and then yoink, 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 and 3 Colossus are in range of the Zerg Bioball. 2 of them go down instantly, 1 of them gets yoinked back again. And Hung Mao calls it exactly there. Just as a quick thing, before we actually see it in the game, Hung Mao in the chat saying, Toss thinks he's ahead but has no vision. Yeah? Let's just quickly go over here. But we'll keep an eye on the army for a bit. Didn't expect that much because he didn't realise how far behind he was. I mean, he still hasn't even scouted. Oh no, he has finally now scouted that base. But he didn't realise how much his opponent had, and at that point it's like, you know what? Guess what happens here? Actually, to be fair, both very mana players, complimentary about their foes. And then I take a few seconds to leave the game. So yeah. So that was good. And that right there was a final for the ages. I mean, that was for everywhere from the proxy hatch, which immediately got spotted but wasted minerals for his opponent, all the way up to like the fact that he had no idea there were Vipers in play until they killed half his army, basically. Yeah, that was fun. Do people want to see more replays? I mean, like there was if I do actually have replays for all the casted games in that tournament, and I can cast some more if people want. Or if we want to do something else, just make suggestions. As long as it's legal, basically. And also doesn't take more than like half an hour because, oh my god, it's 10:30. Show you some more Terran. Okay. You don't want Yanikos then. You don't want ZVZ. There's Toady versus Wok. Or there's Toady versus Mark. Okay, so... in terms of matchups that we have, we've got TVP, PVZ, TVT, TVZ, ZVZ, ZVP, and that's it, I think. TVP, where was TVP? Where's it gone? Ah! Accidentally loaded the wrong replay. Well, the thing is, it's not so much that there are lots of Zerg in the replays. It's just the fact that I got to cast 2 best of 3s that was ZVZ. Yeah, we need more people to sign up for the silver and bronze. Let's see, where was the TVP game? That's PVZ. Aha! TVP was in fact the first game that we cast this evening. Between Archon playing for Team Indark and Killer X, we made a lot of jokes about Combat X in this one. So what I'll do is I'll fire that up. And this is between two Platinum players. Distressingly, I don't think either of them made it that far. But this being the first one we played was a best of one. So there is only one replay of this one. I'm not going to tell you who won. So, in the bottom left, we've got Indark Archon, which I have to assume is some kind of reference to Brood War. And his opponent, Killer X, up in the top right, pimping out his channel. Because why would you not, if you're on the stream? So, we've got ourselves the starting thing. Again, it's a sort of a big map. I'm actually going to zoom out because why would I not? It's amazing. Look at all this space. I can see everything. By the way, because there's not much happening at the moment, when people are like watching their own replays, do they actually zoom out when you're spectating? Do you actually zoom out this far all the time? Because I love it. I would love to play from this far out actually sometimes. In any case, we've got ourselves a bit of a scout going out from the Protoss player, who I believe centered on 9. Because, yeah, why not? Again, like sending it out, it's sort of an illustration of how big this map is, how long this takes to get here. And he's going in to not steal any minerals. Oh, that's a useful thing to do. Yeah, looking at your opponent's camera is always a good thing to do, actually, in replays. And you can't actually zoom out because they weren't. We've got the standard builds. I mean, this is a fairly sort of simple opener. We'll speed things right along. Actually, I love these maps, actually, just looking at this stuff, like the sort of the swirly effects here. And this isn't even on high definition. This is like on medium detail, I think. But we've got gas coming down. Now, I was a little surprised at this because I was expecting, like, if you're going to go racked gas, you get Reapers. But it was a bit late of a gas for Reapers because it's not done yet. So we're seeing Marines coming out. And the Protoss worker running away with the Terran worker behind it. Although distressingly, I don't think they can actually see each other yet. Nope, they just can't. You can actually see, like, the overlapping circles. And there's the spot. And at that point, I think Killer X dodged a bullet because I think he was about to drop a pylon there. You might, if you were watching earlier, you might have seen this one. At this point, I don't know what to think about this, because this is basically trying to screw your opponent over in their base, and it's dangerous to do because your opponent has a probe on the map, which means they can get out of their base a lot easier than you can. And he's got 2 Marines and he's sending them up, and I'm wondering what he made the gas for, because like he's not spent any of it yet. You know, he's not actually done a damn thing with it. There we go. And even now he's not spending his gas, so I'm wondering what it's for. Protoss hasn't actually spotted this yet, I don't think. Have a look at that. Yep, no, he hasn't seen it. He's seen the Marine, he's seen 2 Marines, and because he can basically, because he can micro against it, they're not actually that much of a threat. In the bunker, they're a pain in the arse, because in the bunker they have extra range, and I think they actually match his range. Yep, in the bunker he can't kite, basically. But he's got a Stargate coming down. It's a proxy Stargate. And the problem for the Terran player at this point is that he's got nothing at home. You know, he's getting 2 Marines, but a single Oracle will beat 2 Marines. So Terran's going to have to do some kind of, like, just to make sure he focuses all the rest of his attention at home. The bunker's too far back for cheese. It's not too far back for a contain, because you can't stick down a natural here. And anything that comes out of here, I believe, will just get shot a lot. The bunker isn't actually foolproof, and it probably could have been put, like, if you really wanted to, you could have put it up here, I guess, but yeah. The proxy, by the way, is pushing out an Oracle. And at this point, the probe's moved in and has seen the bunker. In fact, I'm fairly certain We just click on the Protoss building. He's seen the bunker. He hasn't seen anything else, but you know something's up when there's a bunker full of Marines in your natural and a bunker full of Marines here as well. At this point, the Oracle moves in and has all the time in the world to go pew, pew. In fact, let's have a look at the kill count. And he's running away because it turns out that is enough Marines to kill it off. But the problem is he's now got in and got 8 worker kills, which puts Terran behind. In fact, I think it genuinely does. Yep, it puts him actually about even, if I'm honest. If it, once the workers get back to mining, back to there we go. I'm counting the 1 mule as 4 SCVs. Apologies, I didn't actually spot what time the Stargate went down. Let's have a quick look and go back. Here we go. Okay, so the pylon's about to finish up. Stargate went down at a staggering soon, I guess. He's got it. There we go. Stargate went down at 4 minutes 30, basically. Stargate went down at 4.5 minutes, which is frighteningly early. Trollmud keeps wanting to practice Oracle timings against Terran, I see. Yeah, I mean, this is sort of a rough thing for Terran if you don't see it coming, because what if you do see it coming? If you see the Stargate, then you can build a turret. You know, you get an eBay, build a turret, but at this point, like, the Terran has seen nothing. And is happily building this. Oh, you are Terran, fair enough. Yeah, no, I mean, the thing that, for me, the big clue would have been, I think, the double gas that went down, because I think the double gas went down before the... Well, of course it went down before the Stargate. You need the double gas for the Stargate. The problem you're going to have scouting this is that, owing to the super high Reaper speed, they can literally put it anywhere on the map. So, no, super high Oracle speed. They can put it anywhere on the map they want. Yeah, double gas with 3 in each. That's the clue. That's the clue that you are about to get fucked. Basically. You know you're about to get fucked if somebody puts like 3 in each this quick. The problem with this is that you don't actually know what it's going to be, because at this point it could be. I mean, with this map, it's slightly more difficult for it to be anything like because you can see up here. You can get blink, you can get DTs, you can get Stargate, you can get. I've seen actually someone go charge lots. It didn't necessarily end well for him, but he went charge lots anyway. But yeah, and at this point we have, like, you know, the scouting push. We'll zoom through this because we've seen this already. Yeah. No, there's just so many things. You can go Immortals as well, which is really good against bunkers because they like 8-shot them. Or 4-shot them, however many shots it is. So, at this point, the Oracle is about to go in. And while that's doing that thing, I want to focus on what's happening up here, because if memory serves, it's about now that I'm expecting Protoss to do the breakout. Because there's no workers there to fix, and the bunker can just be burned down. Actually, let's have a quick check on what that scan was, because I don't know. Right, so he scanned the main, and he's seen everything except the Stargate, basically. So yeah, the Oracle's over here, causing merry hell. And at this point, I seem to remember there was, like, we managed to miss in the cast. Oh no, he's making another Oracle, he's not making a Void Ray. Oh yeah, Void Rays are horrifying if they get lots of them. But the thing is, as a Terran, I kind of like it when my opponent goes Void Ray, because I just make a shitload of Marines. But yeah, we've got two excuse me, 2 Oracles there. Yeah, basically, 2 gas with 3 in means you're about to get screwed by something. And I think at this point he goes for a combined attack. He's actually tried to send a probe down to build the natural, and it's failed, but has not died, which is always good. So, I think this is the point I think which 2 things happen. One, the turret's not going up in the main, but it's not going up fast enough necessarily. Maybe it will. I'll have to see. So the Oracles go in, and we'll put up the worker kill count just because we can. 1, that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Nope. 14 only. I think they got a bunch of Marines as well. I mean, it cost him both the Oracles, but the reason it cost him both the Oracles is because this was happening in the background. While he was engaging over there, this is happening, and in fact, let's go right the way back to the beginning of this little engagement here. Like, he sent in the Oracles, and the Oracles are about to start butchering workers. At this point, he shoots down, the Stalker loses a bunch of shields, takes some hull damage, and at that point, it takes down a Stalker, but the problem is, because the Terran's not looking at this bit and has basically just had to tell those guys to leg it, he's lost the bunker, he's lost the contain, and those Marines just die. So, overall, I mean, the Oracles were going to be of limited usefulness from this point onwards anyway, and the amount of damage he's done to his opponent's worker lines is 14 workers. For those of you following along at home, that's 560 minerals a minute that he's not getting. 560 minerals a minute is one expo every minute and a barracks. So, just to put that into context. At this point, there's the Observer coming out, because it turns out that Observers are pretty nifty. Not doing anything, because why would you want it to do anything? So, I'm going to speed this right along, because I think there's a period when not a lot happened. Shift that down again. In terms of upgrades, Protoss is going for that. Protoss is going for Dat Colossus. Terran's getting a second base up, actually faster than Protoss, because, hey, it was already built. Turret's going up in the Nat, because it turns out Oracles might come back again. At this point, I start to wonder slightly about this player, because I had this question. I think if this is the one I remember, he makes single things out of this Stargate. He makes a single instead of making two at a time in a second, he makes one at a time, and is supply blocked. That also doesn't help. But yeah, he's making one medevac at a time when he could easily make two, and he's pushing across the map with Marines. Don't get me wrong, they're good, but there's no medevac support here. And yep, one photon overcharge. Get out. And okay, he's got a medevac. He's got a single medevac, and he is now swapping it over, but he could have done that a lot sooner, and since the factory wasn't doing anything anyway, he'd have had two medevacs in about 5 seconds rather than one medevac now and one in a full cycle of build. At this point, the Stalkers are looking for drops, because why would you not? There's no way a Terran going by who is ever not going to get medevacs. Doing a scan in the main and not seeing much more than he saw last time. I think he didn't see. I think he saw he's seen the Twilight Council. He's seen the actually non-functioning thermal lance research. This doesn't necessarily mean that the Protoss doesn't have it. It just means they're not researching it right now. Or rather, this doesn't mean the Protoss has it. At this point, Killer X has basically eyes on his opponent. He can see everything his opponent's doing, because the turret's all the way back here and there isn't one at the front. And the massive disadvantage of the oh no, he actually managed to get away with that one. This drop's going to go in, and I believe it does do some damage. The problem that he's got is his opponent going charge lot Colossus and not actually being that far away from the main with two Colossi. He is also, by the way, he did spend the Terran also made the mistake, I think, of making one thing at a time out of this starport, even though it was on the reactor, when he had the minerals to not do that. At this point, he got lucky, because this is out of sight. If those Stalkers had still been there, this would have been a much shorter fight. And he pushes in, and the Stalkers immediately react by shooting back and running away. The thing is, he has concussive shell, I believe. Yeah, the concussive shell is present. Takes down a pylon. The problem is, at this point, he can't fight this level of force, so he legs it. Again, it's sort of, he got a Stalker and he got a pylon, so that was okay, I guess. But but the potential for going in here and taking out the worker line would have been so much greater. Killing off, trying to balance the worker counts, because at the moment he's not even supply blocked his opponent. He's trying to. And now there's a chrono boost on the robotics facility, on the robotics bay rather, and the robotics facility actually. My bad. So at this point, Terran's in a bad spot. I mean, he's got a composition, and don't get me wrong, it's not terrible. He's got something to take on the oh man. Well, you know, make sure you follow me, Trollmode Kips. I want to see you again. All right. He's got like a tiny army. Okay. Well, if you follow me, then you'll know when I go live, and you can come back and watch some more. I'll finish this up for the people that are still here. That just looks like Melvin at this point. Oh no, who am I still here? Right. So we've got this like. Oh, and if you have any suggestions about the casting, let me know. PM me on this. Email me at novawolfen@gmail.com. Whatever. Helpful suggestions. Excellent. Thank you very much for watching the VOD. And if you're seeing this in the VOD, again, like email me with suggestions, things I could do better, things I could do differently. While you're doing that, we're going to go and see what happens to these two Vikings, because they're actually getting kind of torn up by those things. I mean, at least everyone now knows where everyone is. Protoss knows a little better because it turns out he's got that. Oh, and there's a drop going on in the main, which is actually quite nasty. Terran actually has a lot of stuff here. I think that might actually save him altogether if he does it right. Yep, he's got a bunch of troops. I'm not whoring myself out. I'm not that expensive. Yep. Basically, it was that up until that point, I would have given the game to Protoss in a heartbeat. But when he lost his, it was that combined drop in his main. And this is why drops are so good. They're so goddamn good. They're so devastatingly bastard. If your opponent has their entire army elsewhere. The problem that Protoss had, I think, is that when that drop went down, he didn't have any war-pins available. Let's actually go back a bit. Hunmao, I feel the same from the other direction. I hate Zerg so much. I feel bad for saying it, but I hate Zerg so much. Basically, my ZVT happens one of two ways. One, they go Roaches and Hydras and I kill them. Two, they go Banelings and I die. That's basically how it works. So yeah, at this point, Protoss' entire army is out here, and his warpins are on cooldown, but not for long. So actually, let's have a look back. Had he just warped in when all of this shit landed in his main? Follow the drop in this time. My face. What about my face? I like my face. Stop looking at me. Oh wait, no, don't stop looking at me. Watch me. Watch me. But yeah, so we're going to watch this drop come in. The drop comes in and starts dumping. Oh god damn it. The drop comes in and la 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 la. Again, something I need to work on, I think. So, we'll sit back here. The drops come in. By the way, my face is going to become the key for you all blocking the shot. So, we've got ourselves with the drop coming in right here. He does actually warp stuff in. I think the mistake he makes is he warps it in right next to it. And had he not done so, he could have gotten slightly more done, I think. Because the Zealots took half their shields in damage before they actually did nothing. And at this point, he's moving in on the worker line, and there's not a lot of shit. I mean, maybe he could have evacuated, but at this point, Protoss is like, box everything and attack! Which is what happens when you do this. I mean, and it leads to bad engagements for you like this. It leads to you getting kicked in the teeth rather hard. And at this point, the extra Colossus, which should have been there to start with, and these extra Zealots, which might have made the difference had they been there on time, aren't there in time, and everything dies. And that... And that is that. Oh man. It does amuse me that, right, I've been casting pretty much solidly since 6 PM and it's now 11 PM. That's 5 solid hours of casting. I'm so happy. This has been so much fun, like, seriously. Yeah, if we look at the sort of the way the state of game, if we look at the unit count just at the end here, yeah, there's a bit of a worker disparity. So, like, the Terran made some slip-ups along the way and could have done a lot more damage, but in the end, it was that drop that killed the Protoss. It was that drop that made the Protoss go, kill everything! Because he couldn't pull back if he'd had the forces still at home and he hadn't been camping outside his opponent's base. Then he could have taken the fight back. He could have brought the fight back in here, killed off this lot with no trouble at all, and then be like, you know what? I've just killed off your drop. I'm just going to march forward now. Or I'm going to macro up first and then march forward. So yeah, I think that'll do for now for that replay. That's all we can really get out of it, at least from my perspective. So, at this point, Mothership Core, not with the army. I have a feeling if we look back slightly, the Mothership Core was on its way to join the army. Yeah, you can see it on the map. Because if you look at, there's a little dot where it is now, just next to the pink blob that is the thing. And it was just sitting there, not doing anything. I think had that been with the army, he could have recalled back. Okay, let's go back to slightly before the... he had observers. Yeah, he should have known what this was. But again, I don't think he was thinking rationally when all of this shit kicked off. I don't think he was thinking, you know, well, I must do things sensibly. It was just like, I'm so fucked. Throw my army at them. A-move everything. And at that point, it just killed him. Right, so we'll follow the Mothership Core for a second. Because this would explain why he couldn't recall back. The fact that the Mothership Core basically went here, and then was never touched again. Nope, no text yet. That's fine. Make sure I'm not being told to shut up. Cool. So yeah. Oh, for fuck's sake. Alright, let's do that last bit again. I am sorry, I will eventually learn to play. When I say play, I mean remember not to make you look at my face too much. Yeah, we've got the Mothership Core. The Mothership Core pushes out with the rest of the army in a second. The problem is that it's slow. Like, it's generally slow, and then it stays here for the rest of the game. Like, it doesn't move. Hello? Hello? Do you need to keep the noise down?
Yes, please.
Okay. Am I too loud at the moment, or?
Oh, so yeah.
Okay, I will keep the noise down.
Thank you.
Okay. So, yeah, we're going to have to keep the noise down a little. That just means I get to be a little more sensual. So, at this point, yeah, like, the Mothership Core potentially could have saved the day if it had been in the right place at the right time. The problem is that Toss didn't think about that. And it's something that generally happens, like, when shit kicks off. When you're about to die. Yeah. Let's tighten this nut. Yeah, when you're about to die, and Terran's dropping all over your main, and everything seems to be going straight to hell, it's really often quite hard to think straight. So what tends to happen is, you end up going box everything, A move, pray, I'm probably dead, but I'll try this anyway, maybe I can take him out before he takes me out. It's basically base trading. But it doesn't seem to do very well, ever. It's that thing where your opponent doesn't need to think about this sort of thing because they've got a prepared defense, and then you attack into it, and then you die because that's what happens, basically. In any case, do people want to see another replay, or shall I call it for now and then do something else? We can do something else for a bit. I mean, as long as I'm quiet, basically. Which basically means I can't shout. But that's about it, really. I can play games, I can... Actually, it is quite tempting to say... I will probably actually say at that point... you're fooding, okay. I'm going to say I'm going to call it for now. I'm going to turn the stream off for now. Thank you for watching if you did. If you watched on Twitch, then you're fabulous. If you watch on YouTube, then you're just as fabulous, but a few hours later. If you like what you see, put a follow on it. Follow me on Twitter @NovaWolfen. If you don't know how it's spelled, you'll look at your URL right now. It'll be there. If you would like to subscribe to my YouTube, that would be lovely. You'll be able to see when all this stuff goes up. I don't have like proper subscribers on YouTube yet, so there are no subscriber benefits yet. And if you want to do me a favour, as a thank you for the content that I'm trying to produce, then what you can do is you can get out there and tell one person, as I said before, tell one person who doesn't know about this cast, about the cast. Get them to come along and play. Whether they come along for the Scvrush stuff, or whether they come along for just my stuff, or the post-Scvrush wind-up, which I might actually make a regular thing of, like, just analysing the final games or something like that, and then just seeing where we go from there. And yeah, and if I stick up a PayPal thing and you pay me money, I'd probably read things for you, but we'll worry about that later. Actually, I probably shouldn't do that. That sounds a bit dodgy. But in any case, I'm going to call the stream here. It's been an absolute blast. You guys have been amazing. And apologies to those who left just about 5 minutes ago that we're not carrying on for much longer, but it is kind of... I've now been casting for 5 hours and 20 minutes. And I feel like I should stop for the moment. I will be doing some more casting. What day is it? It's Wednesday. I will be doing some casting tomorrow. And I might try and get hold of the replays of the Scvrush finals, and as many of them as I can get anyway from tomorrow's games as well, to try and do the same analysis on those. I imagine if the Scvrush guys have a problem with that, they'll let me know. If you have replays you want me to cast of your own, then by all means let me know. If you want me to cast your Clan Wars, let me know. I'll see what I can do. If you want me to do other things that are legal and preferably not unethical, you know who you are, then by all means, like, get in touch, novawolfen@gmail.com. If there's any opportunities you think I need to take up, like someone put me in touch with put me onto the DreamHack community casting, which it hasn't panned out yet, but the closing date was only yesterday, so they may not have got in touch with everyone. We'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, if there's other stuff comes up and you think, oh, Nova would love that, just pass it on to me. That'd be amazing. And yeah, hopefully I can start making streaming a little more of a regular thing in my life. I mean, I'm not going to sort of say, yes, I shall become a YouTube celebrity. But hey, if I end up with like 10,000 people watching me on a regular basis, then maybe we can make a thing of this and I can start doing it for a living. That, however, is the pipe dream. That, however, is what might happen. What is happening, however, is tomorrow I'm going to be doing some random Steamage, possibly some Dota, while Scvrush is on, because I don't want to take too much away from them. The Diamond and Master Tournament is going to be absolutely bitchin', especially if Kira turns up. I may actually just watch from the crowd instead of doing my own streams. At some point, once I get the place set up, I will try and open up my virtual barcraft to fans. So if you're interested in that and have Forge installed on your Minecraft client, then we can negotiate getting people onto that and setting that up as a thing. Which reminds me, I should put that up now. Yeah, I think that should pretty much cover it for now, I think. So what I'll do is I'll sign off from you guys. You've been great. This has been a lot of fun. And yeah, I'll see you same channel next time, I guess. Same bat time, same bat channel. We'll have to work out exactly what I'm trying to do, but it'll be fine. So yeah, as I said, tell one person who hasn't followed me to follow me, and follow me yourself if you haven't already. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye.